Thank you, Jason, for that warm welcome, and welcome to everyone. And thank you again for taking the time. And I want to say thanks for the invitation. At the HEC, we are happy to continue partnering with COSTAATT. As you know, we are a fervent believer in our future development of our future leaders. All right, so today's topic, we're going to be talking about professional etiquette. It's a very broad topic, but we'll be narrowing it down to some very critical aspects. And the point of this is to really ensure that when you go out there, or as you continue in your career, you understand what would make you stand out as the employee of choice and what is expected of a professional person. All right. So the objective is basically to provide a clearer understanding of what it is, the importance of professional etiquette, benefits to you in the workplace, and of course, it will benefit you in any walk of life, in your personal and professional life. And the outcome is that you will apply this understanding in your everyday professional journey. So I'm a person, we'll go through the presentation, but at the end, I really like to have conversations. So I'm talkative, but I'm not a very long-winded presenter. So take down your questions, and at the end, we'll want to converse, all right? And there's no right or wrong answer in this session. So just thinking about, professional etiquette and the word professional, I was wondering, you could just wave your hand or just put up your hand and indicate, have you ever sent an email requesting or sharing information and never got a response? Anybody?
Yes.
Right. And so let's go to the next question. Have you ever gone to a place for service, had to walk away in shock because of how long you waited and still did not get through? I expect everybody to say yes to this one.
Yes.
Yes, right?
Yes, so, definitely.
Yeah, we know where we live, right? We understand customer service is not our, the top of the line when it comes to our culture. So these are things, and in these situations, often you would walk away and say, boy, this person is so unprofessional. That company is so unprofessional. So in general, even in all walks of life, we always have an idea about what professionalism is. All right. So I wanted to hear from you. You could just put one example that you believe a person who's professional would do. What does professional look like to you? So you could just put one example. Quick. So I just, good customer service. Yes, Jenna. Yeah, that is something you expect someone. Reach your work on time. Excellent. You're touching all the critical things that we are going to talk about. Thanks, Samantha. Respond timely to emails. Yes, that is a huge pet peeve for me personally. Being helpful. Yes, a good team player, Wendy. So those are really, really good examples of, what a professional, what you'd expect from a professional person. All right, anybody else have anything else to add? All right, yeah, so those are really great examples, and thank you for putting that there. So let's look at the definition of what professional etiquette is. It's a code of conduct, written and unwritten, meaning not everything is going to be spelled out for you, right? Regarding the interactions among persons in a formal setting. So what that means, it's not necessary, it doesn't relate to your interaction with your colleagues. If you're home or you're visiting a friend, but you're looking at like a work setting. It refers to how you present yourself, right? Remember, this is a reflection of you, the professional, and how you present yourself in words and in actions. That's your behaviors and your responses. And we say in an industrious, meaning diligent, hardworking, courteous, and organized manner. Okay. Also, the benefit of this is it allows others to see you as reliable, accountable, and trustworthy. We all want service from a professional person. We all want to have that interaction. It'll be great if you could get a professional boss, supervisor, somebody who you see as reliable, accountable, and trustworthy. So it actually starts from by you. So you want to build these competencies. So when we talk about where, I would have mentioned location. The school setting, right? That's a professional setting. It's not a casual setting, even though it's your friends. Before COVID, we could have, you wear jeans, but there are still, different rules and etiquettes and protocols you have to follow. It could be in a service environment. It could be you as an employee where you work. When we talk about professional etiquette, what does it sound like? What is the level of courtesy? What is the attitude it involves? And we often think about the accuracy of information. So sometimes, you call to get information, it sounds shaky. So, or you go in and you ask somebody a question and, the response is very rude, aggressive, or very pleasant and helpful, as some of you have said. What does it look like? When I walk into a building, this is what a professional atmosphere looks like. The protocols, the processes are, it's smooth. The transition is smooth. You are comfortable. I like to make reference to like with COVID protocols, where, some banks, you may see you have a very long line outside and people standing up. You don't feel, and it's being managed poorly. Sometimes you go to another branch or another bank and there's somebody's, vetting the line, asking you, what did you come for, separating it. And at those experiences let you say, okay, this was very professional. This person, this manager, she was very professional. And the effect, of course, when we talk about the effect is how satisfied you walk away, how satisfied the customer is, how engaged you are as an employee, right? If you work in an environment where others are practicing this, you will be more likely to be engaged rather than disengaged and demotivated. So cool. So we're going to take a quick look at a video, just, in a humorous look of what we just described in terms of professional etiquette. So enjoy.
If your office feels like a sitcom, could be a case of life imitating art. Etiquette expert Thomas Farley is clocking in with the basics of office etiquette.
Since we are working in such close confines and spending so much time, probably more time with our coworkers than we are with our own family members, to think about how your little actions may have ripple effects on the way somebody else is able to work.
And it starts at the top, especially with a brutish boss like Miranda Priestley in The Devil Wears Prada.
I'm sorry, Miranda, I actually think the tales of your incompetence do not interest me.
You want to lead by example, not lead by the bad example that the higher-ups are setting for you. But the key really is that common consideration.
Next, if courtesy isn't so common in your office, just be happy you're not with Dwight Schrute in his office.
These conversations about personal hygiene, about personal workplace habits, those I think are best had by people who are actually friendly with one another in the workplace.
I'm sorry, Pam. Allow me to write you an apology letter.
So Dwight can be courteous, but what if you work with someone like Michael Scott?
Hey, Michael.
What? But when it comes to noise,
That's so
I think you have to realize this is a working office and not a library.
Finally, what happens when work friends fight?
You are not going to solve a misunderstanding with an email. The best way to solve that, pick up the phone. It's the most underused tool in the office, and it will help you cut through so much nonsense.
Boy, have you lost your mind, because I'll help you find it.
Lesson learned? From the office to your office, mind your manners. That's on the to-do list.
All right, so as you would have seen, they just would have shared similar information, but in a very funny way. But truly, a lot of these are real issues. So they first spoke about setting your own example. So you may be reporting to someone, or you have team members who may not have, the best interpersonal skills, or may not be accustomed, calling in if they're running late. But you, in developing your professional profile, want to make sure you establish your standards, which would be, of course, having the best type of communication, being open, and improving your interpersonal skills. In that video, they would have talk about courtesy. We can't, elaborate more or stress how important courtesy is. Persons respond well. It's not about sucking up. It's not about, being the one that everybody has to like. It's really about just being genuinely, polite and wanting persons to have a good experience. And guess what? If somebody has a good experience with you, they're more likely to come back to you or to, to consider you if there's an opportunity. And that's how it works. Visibility is very important in the workplace. If they see you visibly as an unprofessional person, trust me, you could be the best accountant, but if you don't have a good attitude or you do not, respond to emails, if there's a promotion opportunity, most likely they'll give it to the person who gets along better with everyone, but may not be as qualified as that accountant. So persons look at that. That video spoke about, talk about sound and noise. Well, where I work, we are actually back out at the office. So being aware of your surrounding and being courteous, in terms of you don't want to be playing your phone loud, having, putting in your earplugs and you're not responding to persons. There are just certain things you do not want to do when you are sharing a space. And then they spoke about something else, which was intriguing and something you see often. So there's a matter. And, the matter was first raised via an email, because email is the main way of communicating within an office setting, particularly now that we are virtual. A lot of information is shared via emails. And then rather than, calling the person and clarifying, many people tend to escalate a matter by using email as a backup. So they may decide to respond to the person. And remember, words carry tone, and somebody might misinterpret it. So these are just some of the things you want to consider. So let's go into the meat of the presentation. So I'm going to discuss some of the critical areas that everyone should be, what everyone should strive to improve and maintain a level of professional etiquette, right? These are the things that really stand out. These are the things employers are looking for. Someone who's competent, someone who's conscientious, someone with integrity, someone with respect. The other slide, we have some other categories. But let's discuss, what does competence mean? Right? Competence means your ability to get the job. You are hired or you will be hired to complete a task, and there's an expectation that you will complete it to the best of your ability. Right? So meeting your job requirements, meeting your expectations. So let's say the example is I am hired to maintain records. You must be very fully aware and ask questions if you don't know. Where am I to file these records? How often am I to file these records? In what order am I to file these records? And when? So all of that will ensure that when you perform your job, you are meeting all of the expectations. All right. Being competent also means you always want to ensure that you have that level of your knowledge. You want to be up to date. With COVID, it presented the opportunity of attending many free webinars. There are many videos and tutorials now. And you don't need to have a formal, thankfully you all are doing a formal academic training, that's great. But when you go out there into the workplace, there are many little things that you want to touch up, whether it's Excel, whether it's understanding how to use Microsoft Project or Visio. So you always want to ensure that your skills are relevant and be willing to learn. If someone there, like a mentor, wants to share information with you, that will build a competence. Be open to learning. But very important is a competent person doesn't mean they know everything. Okay? Just because you're competent, it does not mean that you have to have the right answer. Sometimes, and it's best to say, I am not sure, I will get the information or go and ask for help and, go to the best person who could assist. All right? Always ask for help. Do not pretend to know. It is very important, right? People see through it. The worst thing is to provide information that is inaccurate. They will never come back to you. They would always second guess anything you have to say if that first time the interaction was not, the best. So when we talk about being conscientious, it's talking about being hardworking. And when we say hardworking, we mean not having a desk filled and looking busy. A lot of people do that. You're just working hard, but you're not really working smart. I like to push my staff. We like to work smart. What is the easiest, most effective way to doing things? Being diligent and organized, right? Being organized means there must be some deliberate planning, scheduling, ability to check back and be accountable for what you are asked to do or what you are required to do, even if it means, getting an app, looking at, using a calendar on your phone, making sure that everything is being done in accordance. But it also means conscientious means being accountable for your words, what is coming out of your mouth, what your thoughts, right? You have to spend time always understanding that how I perceive things may not be the reality. It's just my experience of the moment. And we'll talk a little bit about that when we talk about emotional intelligence. All right? Being conscientious means do not throw blame on others just to save yourself, right? A person who's professional would acknowledge that something was done. They would assure the other members that, these are the measures I would put in place to ensure that this would not happen again. And you learn from your mistake, all right? The ability, they call it CYA in offices, covering yourself is fine if you know you are not, you record things, but not to blame others for a situation that you are responsible for, okay? And conscientious, we talk about behavior as one of you all put in the chat, arriving to work on time, being punctual for meetings. Being organized means you have good time management skills, arriving to work, but arriving to meetings on time. So when we do training for our trainees here, or interns, if a meeting is at 10 o'clock, you should be there by 10 to 10, okay? You don't leave your desk at 10 o'clock to attend a meeting, right? You never know who's going to be in the meeting. You never know what they are looking at or what the intention of a meeting is. Sometimes where we work, it's a state organization. And if the minister decides to visit, you can't afford to be late in these situations. So punctual, being available, and good attendance record is very important. So let's talk about integrity. What does that mean? Integrity to me is extremely important. I work so hard to maintain my own personal integrity. Integrity is doing what you say you are going to do. So if I, Reka, said, yes, Jason, I will do this workshop, right? The day before, I won't come with a nilly excuse and say, well, I'm not feeling so well, I have a headache, right? Integrity is what keeps professional people, keep them true to their word. And if somebody know that you are going to do what you say you are going to do, then they see you as reliable, dependable, and credible. And that goes a very, very, very long way in an organization, particularly where, if you have to have something approved, but because this person said it, they know without a doubt that maybe we can do this because they know that you yourself will hold yourself accountable, right? So let's give an example with integrity. simple customer service. If you have to contact a customer and you say, okay, I'll call you tomorrow with that information. Yes, call them back tomorrow, even if you don't have the information, because a lot of times, circumstances are beyond our control, and we would not be able to get what we need to provide service to a customer. In a case like that, what you recommend is do call them back tomorrow, but call them back to update them and let them know, hey, I know I said so and so, but this is the situation. And trust me, if I was a customer, and I'm sure you too, you would be satisfied. At least you know what is going on and why. All right? Integrity means don't compromise your value. Even if it means taking the harder road. Remember, we talk about throwing persons under the bus. You're not going to be doing that. A person with integrity, you maintain your ground, you maintain your character, and it also has a lot to do with honesty. All right? You have to be honest to yourself, not just honest to people, right? It's much easier to be honest to other people if if you understand and honest with yourself. Am I feeling uncomfortable with the situation? Someone may have asked me to perform a task I'm not comfortable with. But I want to maintain my integrity. So being honest with yourself would allow you now to go and get some advice. Just don't say yes or don't just say no. Always, seek information because you want to maintain integrity. You don't want to compromise your character and your value. And with integrity, persons, your behavior is like a glass to your beliefs. It's like a mirror, sorry. Even if we talk about, you can see when somebody is false and not being genuine. So your beliefs and your behaviors are very much aligned. If you believe that a lot of people are lazy, right? Then you would treat your employees and other persons like they are being lazy. If you believe that all persons, like your team members, are here to help you and want the best for their department, you will start to react like that towards everyone. You would want to be helpful. You would want to be that team member. So being genuine, being credible, all of that is important in terms of maintaining your integrity, all right? Respect, we talk about you have to respect someone. What about you have to respect yourself, all right? Understanding what respect looks like, how to show respect, and what you need to respect. So let's just even talk about protocols. You might go into an organization and you may not agree with some of the things they have, but as an employee, you would have signed an agreement, and you want to make sure that you are following the protocols. There are some procedures and guidelines, right? You want to respect that, particularly now in COVID, health and safety protocols is a major thing because literally it could be life or death. So respecting, protocols in any business environment is important. With respect, you want to be professional. Well, basically, respect is not just for people who you like or who you want to impress. So you want to be that person that has respect for all persons. Yes, you may not like how someone behaves or how they responded to you, but for you to maintain your integrity and your professional image, you want to still maintain your respect for others, okay? And that makes sense. So, this goes back to when we spoke about beliefs and mirrors. A person, and everybody could tell if somebody is not genuine, right? So even if I smiling at you and being, hi, how are you? And but I don't ever answer your phone call. I don't ever return your email. Or when you need help, I always give an excuse, then obviously the respect is not there, okay? Because we tend to mix up our personal feelings with our professional, requirements. So respect we spoke about, also just basic courtesy. You walk into a space in Trinidad, at least, when you're in the States, it's not a requirement, it's not a norm. But in Trinidad, particularly, you walk in the space, you say good morning, you say good afternoon. These are things you want to maintain. And it's not an old school thing. It's not something for old people, right? It is a manners make it man. Yes, that's extremely important. And trust me, all of this helps build your character and helps others to respect you. All right. The way how you respond to others is one of the most important factors for the way how people respond to you. And we spoke about responding to emails, being respectful, answering the phone when it's ringing, that's being respectful of people's time. Most often, sometimes I myself might get irritated when I'm calling a department and nobody's answering because I'm calling you for work, So we all have a job, and the job, is all interrelated to the same goal. So don't ever think your job is more important than somebody else's either, or your time is, or their time is less important than yours. So respect, you want to take other person's needs into account. That's important, right? So let's go over into the other group of competencies. So we talked about, I mentioned like emotional intelligence. What is EI? EI, yeah. Emotional intelligence, particularly in the HR field, is a very big topic. Basically speaks to your ability to be aware of your feelings, your thoughts. Awareness is the first step, right? I'm agitated because I didn't have a good sleep. So when I come to work, doesn't mean it's okay to be grumpy to everyone. So he's like, hey guys, just give me a few minutes and let me go and get my morning coffee and I'll come back and talk to you. That's awareness. It also means managing your emotions under pressure. So work is a very stressful environment, correct? Yes, because there are many things that we do not have control over. And as such, is very important that we understand that do not take things personal in a workspace. It will affect you personally, yes, but taking it personal, meaning it's attacking you, the core person, Reka, she doesn't like Reka. That doesn't exist in a workplace, or you should not let it bother you to that level, right? Even if it did exist. But you want to be able to manage it well, because it is so easy to damage a working relationship based on a simple incident, right? And when you damage a working relationship, it really affects you as well. You are unable, everybody connects to somebody. Yes, I work in the training department, but I have to communicate to most departments at some point. And even if it is for somebody to confirm their availability for training, that mightn't sound so important, but it affects my work because I can't schedule persons. So even in a little situation, you may not understand the ripple effect, but it's always important to know you need to manage your emotions. And that's something you should do some reading on. I don't know if in the courses, they will touch on it. Maybe if some of you are going to do a master's or you're doing a master's in a business setting, they typically talk about that. And it also means being aware of others' thoughts and feelings. So it's not just about you and how you feel and how you feel they feel about you, but it's also, you might have a colleague who had a death in the family, and it may not be appropriate or fair for you to be having the same amount of demands on them. Understanding when to have a meaningful conversation as well. If your boss just came from a meeting and he's looking angry, that is not the correct time to go and ask for, can you sign off this approval for me to get some additional funding? So you have to understand how to read situations, really understand that these things, persons, everybody have their own personal experience. They have different backgrounds for us and they respond differently. All right, training and awareness helps with you managing and regulating your emotional intelligence. So then we're going to talk about being confident, right? When we think about confidence, we talk about somebody standing up tall, their shoulders back, and they're smiling. But that's fine, and that's a good image of what confidence looks like. But it also, confidence is really, while that is outside, it's something that's inside of you, all right? Confidence is something you have to build. We are not born confident. If you grow up in an environment where persons don't support you or encourage you, It's often difficult in a work environment to find that confidence when you have other persons saying different things, right? Confidence is something you work on. It's something that comes more naturally to others. But it's really important because the more confident you are in yourself, the more confident others are in you. All right? And confidence doesn't mean that you're 100% sure, you know. Confidence is often that you know that even if something can't work out, you'll figure it out or you'll get the help to figure it out. Yeah? That makes sense? Yeah, we often think you have to be, I'm 100% confident this is going to work. I think that's a false confidence, right? Being confident really pushes you to want to take on new challenges, right? A person who is confident often would be the person who will be willing to help others and also be a really good team member. And you'll want to achieve more. A confident person tends to take initiative or challenge themselves because you see the benefit in growing yourself. You see the benefit in being positive about your growth. Okay, and you want to be a team player. And then as we look at the other circle, it's appropriateness, right? Appropriateness, that is knowing when to do something, you know, understanding a situation. So I just spoke about, you know, understanding if your boss is irate, is it appropriate at that point to come to them? No, it's a matter that will further irritate them. No, it's not appropriate. If you are dealing with a customer or a patient or anybody and they are being irate or the situation is escalating, then you need to know at that moment it is appropriate to refer the matter to your superior or someone else who can manage the situation better or to even get help to manage the situation better. Appropriate could also look at what is the appropriate dress code, you know, how you're looking. Different organizations have different expectations, different job portfolios have different dress codes. So where we work in the head office, most persons would have their professional wear, their corporate attire. You have your jacket, you have your shirt. I mean, if you're going to a meeting, you make sure you have your tie. You know, you wear a nice suit, stockings. I'm not a stockings person, but you know, it'll be nice. And I always tell persons, dress for the job you want, okay? You may be entering into an organization in an entry-level position. Does not mean, well, yes, the first few months you have to save your money, but invest in a good jacket, right? Invest in some good shoes. Those are some things you could keep using and dress for the job you want. Because when somebody see you, right, unfortunately, we are always judged by our appearance first. When you walk into a room, people see your physical first, right? They don't get the full picture, but by nature, that's how humans are. We judge by appearance first before getting to know the person. And you know, if your manager or somebody sends you to represent the company, you know, at another organization, even if it's to deliver a letter or a message, you want to make sure that you're dressed appropriately. We talk about appropriate responses, okay? Not because it is right, or not because you know it is right means the timing is appropriate for you to share the information. Sometimes if someone is very convinced that they know what they're supposed to be talking about, it is not appropriate to confront them in an environment like in front of other colleagues to ventilate the matter, right? That is not appropriate. What would be, sometimes you have to walk away and then you can call the person and say, I know yesterday you sounded upset about the matter. I just want to know if you have a few minutes for us to talk about it some more, because I'm not sure if I gave you all the information, you know? So at that point, it may be a little more appropriate to talk to someone, okay? And then let's talk about emails. You know, as I said, emails is the main way that we communicate. Phone has its own language, correct? Well, I'm not so okra with all the different abbreviations and stuff, but at least I know LOL, right? But in your emails are formal records of correspondence, all right? When you are writing your emails, always write. It is appropriate to use formal languaging as if it's a letter or a correspondence, right? So you have to know what's appropriate for an email. Emails can be used in court. Emails are often used as attachments to justify something. They can be, supporting documents. So anytime you are doing an email, always make sure it is done in the appropriate and acceptable format, right? If it's between you and a colleague and they're just exchanging something and it's like, did you receive the documents? And you just reply and say, yes, I received it. Fine, right? Your email should always have a signature representing yourself, your position, and your company. Because if you have to correspond with an external stakeholder, someone from outside, they need to know who they are dealing with, okay? So as I said, the phone language or the email is a no-no. It's not to be casual. And as I said, being upset again, it is not appropriate to email someone you're upset. And the worst thing is, I don't know if Jason had this experience or anybody else where they copy everybody in this email because they're upset and they want backup for that email, right? So, yes. So that is not considered professional, right? As in the video we saw, sometimes it's just easier to pick up the phone and make a phone call and diffuse a situation. Say, I saw you put this. So I'm just sharing this information to you, but I will respond in an email confirming what I just said. So you always want to put, because email, as I said, carries tone, especially using caps. And when you're sending emails, that comes across as shouting, right? So always be very aware of how you use your font, how you use your text, what is appropriate for emails. Okay, so just going on to the last slide as we close off. So we would have spoken about all the great things and what, employers are looking for, what are the things you want to build as a professional. And some of you might be business students or in any of your studies might have come across the tool called SWOT, right? That's your strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat. A SWOT analysis is a strategic tool that companies often use when they want to develop strategies to close gaps, all right? Or when they've developed part of when they're doing their strategic plan, at the basic level, you do a SWOT. So yes, you can do a SWOT for yourself as an individual SWOT, and it's important. So I would like everyone here who so diligently, came and take the time to write down for yourself, what are your strengths? What areas do I do well in? Okay. You want to look at weaknesses. What are the areas can I improve in? Then we have O, opportunity. What opportunities exist for growth? And this is within yourself, remember, this is introspection. And sometimes we may not be very familiar with ourselves. So it's often good to ask a trusted colleague or someone who would know you well. So, if I had to improve on something, what would you suggest? I'm going into the working environment, right? And then threat, what obstacles may prevent me from growing? So what you want to do is build your strengths, always capitalize on your strengths, right? Just like within a department, if you have a team, you want to know what everybody's strengths are, and you will use those strengths to build your department, right? Then you want to use your strengths to take advantage of the opportunities that exist. And that will help you improve your weaknesses and reduce your threats. So an example would be your strength is that you're a good team player, you have good interpersonal skills, but your weakness is that you are not very good in planning and organizing. So the threat is that you would often miss deadlines. But you have the opportunity now to use that good personality skill, your team members. You could go to your team and ask them to share any strategies they may use that could help them, that could help you improve your planning skills. So you see, the strength of being a good team player and interpersonal skills, you can use that to capitalize on the opportunity of using your other team players to help you improve your weakness and therefore minimize the threat of missing your deadlines. So it could be as simple as that, right? That's just a simple example. But please, I really would like you all to take a, later tonight or in the morning, anytime you have some downtime, think about it. All right. So this brings me to the end of my presentation, Jason. So over to you if you have any questions.
Thank you, Rika. We now invite participants. If you have any questions, you can put up your hand, or you can just come on and ask the question to Ms. Ramjet. Ms. Williams, sorry.
Sure. And as I said, there's no right or wrong question or anything. Conversation, if you're not sure about something, how to handle a situation, and you just want to, to share and for us to discuss it, that's fine, because trust me, it will benefit others.
Or if you're just shy, you can place the comment in the chat or the question in the chat, and we'll read it out.
Yeah. You're all students, man. You're supposed to be blowing up this chat way and taking over the screen now. It's your time. Let's get it dark. Let's go. Or if any of you all who might have had like an experience and you were uncomfortable with it and you're not sure how you should have dealt with it, or if the way you dealt with it was the right way, you could, share it. You don't have to call names in terms of, places, but it's important for us to kind of discuss it and put it in a context. Or are there what are your thoughts about the presentation? Or if you want to just share a comment about, developing a professional etiquette, what steps would you? So you could just share, it doesn't have to be a question. You could just share at this moment. You could open your mic.
I think, Rika, you did a wonderful job, an excellent job that nobody has any questions.
Well, it doesn't have to be questions, but I hear them as well. I seen in the chat we have, somebody said very informative. Thank you. Thanks, Samantha. Thanks, Shanika. Great job. I have to dress for the job. I want exactly. Nice. So Elizabeth has a question. What are some employers' expectations on soft skills in professional etiquette? Well, a lot of the things I would have spoken about actually covers that. And basically, communication is extremely important, right? And knowing when and how to communicate is important. Soft skills in terms of, we spoke about your emotional intelligence, knowing how to manage your stress, knowing how to respond to situations. Among all of the other things that we would have touched on, all right? Is there any specific area, having good integrity, being diligent, being a good, responder? All right. See some couple. Thanks. Elizabeth, did that answer your question? Per se, I know I really didn't go into detail. Thanks, Wendy and Stacy. Is there any specific area that I did not touch on that someone would have wanted more explanation on? I know, right, Stacy? Tell him Stacy said I could be a lecturer at COSTAATT. Listen, tell him I could do it part-time. I'll send my resume, right, Jason? It could be my reference.
Sure, anytime.
Yeah. So yeah, start working on your SWOT is extremely important, Samantha. Yeah.
Shanika is asking, is it professional to eat at your desk on work?
All right. So it depends. If a company has a designated space for you to eat, then typically not, because eating at a desk can get food and items get soiled, documents, it could actually get items into the computer, because a lot of us, you might be eating and typing. I'm guilty of that, right? And you have some greasy, but because of COVID now, you actually, like for us who are out, we are required to eat at your desk because there's no communing at this point. So it really depends on what the culture is at the organization. But if there's a space, I would recommend, listen, if you can take a break from your desk, take a break from your desk, go out and eat, like if there's an open space. For sure. Great question. Mhm.
Are there any other questions or comments before we wrap up?
Just
Again, if you think about any questions after the presentation, you can feel free to send me an email to my email address, jccharles@costatt.edu.tt, or you can respond to one of the many emails that I would have sent you in the past.
yes, and Jason, thank you so much for the opportunity. I mean, I did prepare for this session. This is we would have used bits and pieces in other presentations, but this is the first time I kind of put all together in one. So I could see the usefulness, so thanks again for the invitation and the opportunity.
And thank you for giving of your time. We'd like to thank you for giving of your time. We know how busy you are. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your expertise. Thank you for your wisdom. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to working with you in other forms in the future. We have worked together in the past regarding internships and those sort of things, but we continue working together and collaborating on future projects either side of the organizations. All right.
Sure.
And I'd like to thank our students who took the time to participate in today's workshop, Professional Etiquette.
Definitely.
And I'd like to say thank you for coming. If you have any further questions, information, anything regarding your career and your career advancement, please feel free to contact us in Career Management Services. You can get on to me at jccharles@costatt.edu.tt. All right. So,
Jason, I think Stacy asking about your other workshops.
just to let you know that this is the fourth and final workshop in this series, and all the workshops that we had so far would be recorded and will be put, including this one, and will be put up on COSTAATT Medium. We will send you an email with regard to the location where they're looking at, where you can go back and look at it in the future. So this was our initiative for this semester in terms of career development and career management. Next semester, we will be having other initiatives coming up, but that does mean that you cannot access our services on a one-on-one basis. You can contact me and we can discuss and go through any item that you would want for your own professional career development. So just reach out to us and we'll be happy to assist you.
Okay.
All right. So if there are no further questions, I'd like to again say thank you, and everybody have a good evening. Be safe.
Okay, bye.
Bye, everyone.